Have you seen my cream Birkin? I asked my husband, James, frantically searching through my closet. The vintage bag, a result of years of careful saving and career milestones, was nowhere to be found. In fact, my entire designer collection seemed to have vanished overnight. I'm Sophie Bennett, 34, an art curator who had built a life I was proud of. My collection of designer bags represented victories and milestones, each one a tangible reminder of my successes. But standing in my closet after a family dinner, I felt my stomach sink. More than just the Birkin was missing. Maybe you moved them? James suggested, but doubt laced his voice. I didn't, I replied. Each bag was a part of me, perfectly arranged, each in its dust bag. My Chanel classic flap from my first major gallery opening, the limited edition Birkin from a vintage auction, and the Lady Dior I bought after landing my dream job, all gone. Then, a notification popped up on Instagram. It was from Olivia, my sister-in-law. My heart stopped. There she was, posing in a high-end restaurant, my cream Birkin slung casually over her shoulder. The caption read, "Living my best life with my new collection." James, I called out, voice trembling, "You need to see this." He came over, glanced at the phone, and his face darkened. She wouldn't, he started, but we both knew she would. Olivia had always been jealous of my success, making snide remarks about how some people had it easy. I scrolled through her feed, finding more photos, my Lady Dior at a rooftop bar, my vintage Chanel at a beach club. She'd taken them all, and now she was flaunting them as if they were hers. Call her, James said, already reaching for his phone, but I stopped him. Wait, I said, my mind racing. I want to see how far she'll go. Olivia had always lived in the shadow of her perfect brother. While James worked his way up in architectural engineering, she bounced between jobs, relying on their parents for support. When we got married, she made it clear that she didn't think I was good enough for James, especially because of my success. The next day, more photos appeared, Olivia at exclusive venues, my bags prominently displayed. Her friends were commenting, gushing over her new collection. She was living out her socialite fantasies with my hard-earned possessions. But one post chilled me to the bone. Olivia was at a pool party, and my cream Birkin was perilously close to the water's edge. That bag wasn't just expensive, it represented the first auction I'd ever won, the moment I knew I'd made it in my career. I decided to play the long game. At the next family dinner, I acted normal, even complimenting Olivia on her new accessories. She thrived under the attention, weaving elaborate stories about how she'd acquired each piece. "This Birkin," she said, patting my bag like it was a pet. "I have a special connection with my dealer in Paris. You wouldn't believe the deal I got." I saw my mother-in-law beam with pride. She'd always favored Olivia, excusing her behavior as youthful exuberance. Now, she was practically glowing, thinking Olivia had finally made it. "The Birkin is special," I agreed, taking a sip of my wine. "It's quite rare, limited edition, with markings that make it easily identifiable." Olivia's face flickered with unease, but she quickly recovered. "Well, that's why I had to have it. Quality when I see it." That night, Olivia posted more photos, but there was a desperation to them. She had to keep up the illusion, despite my subtle reminder about the bag's unique features. Then, the moment I'd been waiting for arrived. A notification popped up. Olivia's latest post showed my cream Birkin, now sporting a large red wine stain across its front. Her caption was a messy collection of crying emojis and a dramatic story about an accident at a charity event. I watched as comments flooded in, her friends offering sympathy and cleaning tips, but I knew better. That stain wasn't an accident, it was panic. My words about the bag's identifiable features had spooked her, and now she was scrambling for an excuse. "It's time," I said, showing James the post. He nodded grimly, understanding the next steps. I had all the evidence, her social media trail, the theft, and now the deliberate damage. But this wasn't just about the bags anymore. It was about years of manipulation, of her trying to tear me down while simultaneously copying everything I had. As I prepared my next move, I thought back on all the times Olivia had tried to undermine me. She'd told James the first was new money and didn't understand class. She'd whispered to his parents that my success must have come from connections rather than hard work. Well, now she was about to learn just what kind of connections I had, and how costly her little fashion show would turn out to be. I picked up my phone and made 2 calls, one to my insurance company and one to my lawyer. Olivia's game was about to take a very different turn. Looking at her latest post again, I allowed myself a small smile. She had no idea that while she was playing dress-up with my bags, I was orchestrating something that would change our family dynamic forever. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't swift or dramatic. It's watching someone slowly realize they dug their own grave, one designer bag at a time. The next morning, as my lawyer compiled the evidence from Olivia's social media spree, an urgent text lit up my phone. It was from her. "The Birkin had an accident, but I can totally fix it. Know any good cleaners?" I left her message unread and focused instead on an email from my insurance company, confirming what I already knew. My collection was covered for theft and damage, but filing a claim would require a police report. Perfect, I thought. "You don't have to do this," James said softly as I prepared to leave for the police station. "We could handle it within the family." I turned to face him. "No, James, we've handled things within the family for too long. That's why she thinks she can get away with this." At the police station, I laid out everything: the theft, the social media evidence, the deliberate damage. The officer raised his eyebrows when I mentioned the Birkin's value. "And you can prove these items belong to you?" he asked. I pulled out my folder: authentication certificates, receipts, insurance documents, and photographs of my collection taken just 6 months ago. I'd always been meticulous about documenting my investments. As I finished filing the report, my phone exploded with notifications. Olivia had posted again. This time, it was a tearful video about how accidents happen and true friends understand. Her friends flooded the comments with heart emojis and sympathy, completely unaware they were witnessing evidence of a crime. Then came the family texts. First, my mother-in-law: "Sophie, dear, Olivia feels terrible about the bag. Can we discuss this over tea?" Then, my father-in-law: "Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. Family should stick together." I forwarded each message to my lawyer without responding. That afternoon, Olivia showed up at my door unannounced. Her eyes were red, either from crying or expertly applied makeup to look distraught. "I was going to return them," she blurted out before I could speak. "It was just a bit of fun showing them off, but then everyone thought they were mine, and it felt so good." "Where are they now?" I asked, trying to stay calm, though panic was rising inside me. Olivia shifted uncomfortably. "In my apartment." "Well, most of them," she replied, her voice shaky. "The Birkin?" I asked, my voice tight. "I thought if it was damaged, you'd just leave it. Why would you want it back?" "So, you ruined a $100,000 bag because you got scared?" Olivia's face went pale. 100,000? You're talking about the limited edition cream Birkin you spilled wine on? "Yes, that's the current market value, not to mention the other pieces you borrowed." Her face crumpled, and she started crying. "I'll pay you back, I swear." "Sophie, please don't do this. Mom and Dad can help, like they helped with your credit card debt, your failed boutique, or your rent when you got evicted." Each example was a punch to the gut. I watched her wince with every word. "No, Olivia, this time, you're facing the consequences. You're about to destroy this family," she yelled, shifting from tears to anger in a flash. "You did that when you decided to steal from me," I responded, closing the door on her protests. Inside, James was waiting, having overheard the entire exchange. "She's right about one thing," he said quietly. "This will change everything." "Everything already changed when she took my things," I replied. "She just didn't expect me to stand up for myself." Later that evening, we received an invitation to an emergency family dinner at his parents' house. Martha's message was clear: this needed to be handled privately, quietly, and without scandal. "We should go," James suggested, "at least hear them out." I agreed, but not before making a quick call to my lawyer. Everything was in motion now. No amount of family pressure would change that. Walking into Martha and George's pristine dining room, the tension was palpable. Olivia sat at the table, head lowered, while Martha anxiously set the table, her hands trembling. "Sophie, dear," Martha began once we sat down, "we understand you're upset, but surely we can find a way to resolve this within the family." I placed my phone on the table and turned on a slideshow. "You mean like these incidents?" I asked, showing photos of Olivia wearing my stolen bags on social media. The final image was of the ruined Birkin. "We'll replace everything," George offered quickly, "whatever it costs." "The police report's already been filed," I replied calmly. "The insurance claim is in progress. This is no longer just about money." Olivia's eyes shot up. "Police report? You actually went to the police?" "What did you expect?" I asked, meeting her gaze. "That I'd just let you steal thousands of dollars worth of bags and damage them, because we're family?" "I was going to return them," she argued, After you ruined them? After flaunting them as if they were yours? After you deliberately damaged something irreplaceable when you got scared of being caught? The room went silent. Martha stopped fidgeting. George stared at his plate. And Olivia looked genuinely scared. What happens now? James asked, breaking the silence. I stood, gathering my things. Now we let the legal system handle it. And maybe, just maybe, Olivia will learn that actions have consequences. As we left, I heard Martha sobbing and Olivia shouting about betrayal, but for the first time since all this started, I felt a sense of peace. Sometimes, standing up for yourself means enduring the storm of family disapproval. The next morning, the police arrived at Olivia's apartment. I didn't need to be there, the evidence was clear. By afternoon, all my remaining bags were recovered, and Olivia was facing charges of grand theft and property damage. What happened next surprised everyone, especially Martha and George. Instead of immediately bailing Olivia out, they took a step back. Maybe they finally realized that always shielding Olivia from consequences led to this moment. James said. We failed her, George admitted during a private conversation with James. We should have stopped this behavior years ago. The family dynamic changed drastically. Martha, who had always defended Olivia, now stayed silent during family gatherings. The truth of Olivia's actions, the theft and the calculated lies that followed, had shattered the image of their perfect family. Olivia, facing real consequences for the first time in her life, began to change too. The anger and blame shifting gradually gave way to something else, genuine shame. 3 months later, I received an unexpected letter from Olivia. It was handwritten and tear-stained in places. Sophie, I've spent weeks trying to write this, but nothing sounds right. How do you apologize for not just stealing from someone, but for trying to become them? Because that's what I was doing every time I carried one of your bags, posted photos, and lied about where I got them. I was trying to be you. I've started therapy. Turns out I have a lot to work through. My therapist says I've been competing with an impossible standard, not just you, but this perfect image I created in my head. I know sorry doesn't fix anything. I know you may never forgive me, but I need you to know that facing the consequences of my actions was the wake-up call I needed. Olivia. I showed the letter to James. He read it silently, then looked at me with questioning eyes. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm thinking, I said slowly, that real change deserves a chance. The charges weren't dropped, but that wasn't my decision to make. I did, however, write a letter to the court about Olivia's efforts to make amends. She was given probation and mandatory counseling, along with a repayment plan for the Birkin. 6 months later, Olivia invited me to coffee. She looked different, more grounded somehow. She had a job now, a real one, at a local art gallery. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. I start at the bottom, she said, stirring her coffee, filing, answering phones, but I love it. For the first time, I'm building something that's actually mine. I nodded. That's how it starts. I used to be so jealous, she admitted. You made everything look easy. I never saw the work, the years of effort. I just wanted the end result. Nothing worth having comes easy, I replied, thinking of my own journey. Our relationship would never be the same as before. Too much had happened, but something new was growing, something based on honesty and respect, rather than competition and resentment. Martha and George changed too. They stopped enabling Olivia and started supporting her growth instead. Family dinners were less about appearances and more about genuine connection. As for my designer collection, I still have it. The Birkin may be gone, but each piece now tells a different story, not just of professional milestones, but of standing up for myself and refusing to let family ties bind me to toxic behavior. Last week, Olivia handed me her first paycheck from the gallery for her repayment plan. She said, I know it's just a fraction of what I owe, but it's a start. I smiled and finished for her. Sometimes, the happy endings aren't about things returning to normal, they're about building something better from the ruins of what was broken. Olivia's actions had shattered our family's facade, but in doing so, she made space for something real to grow. Looking back, I realized the real value of my designer collection wasn't in the bags. It was in the lessons they taught us about worth, respect, and the true meaning of family. Some lessons come with heavy price tags, but their worth is measured in growth, understanding, and the courage to change. The Birkin may be gone, but what replaced it? Genuine respect, honest relationships, and real personal growth, worth far more than any designer bag could ever be. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.